On November 12, 1983, a terrified young Will Byers hides inside Castle Byers in the Upside Down, humming, "Should I stay or should I go?" to steady his shaking hands. The Demogorgon stalks closer. Will fires the rifle, bolts into the twisted forest, climbs a tree for safety, then slips, crashing hard to the ground. Unconscious, he's dragged through the sludge and delivered straight to Vecna, who calmly hooks him into the pulsing upside-down network. Whispering like a proud creator, Vecna promises that he and Will do beautiful things together, and the plan he's been waiting for can finally begin. 4 years later, November 3, 1987, Hawkins looks ordinary from a distance, but up close it's a militarized cage. Steel plates seal the cracks ripped open when Vecna tore the town apart. Soldiers patrol every block, no one enters and no one leaves. And inside this locked-down suburb, entire families have been forced to reshape their lives. The Byers family, Will, Jonathan, and Joyce, now stay in the Wheelers' basement, using it as their temporary shelter. The once normal Wheeler home has become a crowded survival hub, packed with radios, maps, and emergency supplies. Every morning, the kids tune in to WSQK's Morning Squawk, hosted by Robin and Steve. Today marks Robin's 500th broadcast, equal parts celebration and coded signal for the underground Vecna hunting network. She and Vicky are officially a couple now, adding tension to their already chaotic circle of older teens. At school, Dustin is harassed by Andy and the jocks for wearing his Hellfire Club shirt. Mike insists Dustin is fighting two impossible battles, defending Eddie's name and hunting Vecna, while Hopper's rules demand silence and blending in. But Dustin refuses to betray Eddie's memory. Meanwhile, a missing person alert circulates for Jane Hopper, unaware that 11 secretly trains with Hopper and Joyce in the woods. Elle pushes her powers to the limit, desperate to help in the crawls, but Hopper refuses to let her join, not with the military hunting her. WSQK doubles as the team's operations center. Nancy manages the station. Steve and Jonathan unintentionally compete around her. Murray smuggles grenades, ammo, food, and intel into Hawkins disguised as a grocery delivery driver. His biggest update: the military plans a massive incursion into the Upside Down, which gives Hopper one narrow window for another crawl. Using Diana Ross's Upside Down as a cover, Robin broadcasts a coded message to alert the entire team: crawl tonight. They've completed more than 30 crawls, each mapping a new region of the Upside Down, yet still no sign of Vecna's corpse. 11 can't find him, Will can't feel him, some think he's gone. Mike and Nancy refuse to believe it. At school, young Holly Wheeler begins speaking to someone only she can see, Mr. Whatsit. He warns her that monsters are coming. The adults dismiss it. Mike gently introduces her to D&D to help her feel brave. Dr. K, leading the Wolfpack, experiments on a captured Demogorgon inside a hidden military lab in the Upside Down. Their goal: find 11. Later, Will and Lucas visit Max in the hospital. Will then accidentally witnesses Robin kissing Vicky, sending him into emotional confusion. Meanwhile, Dustin visits Eddie's vandalized grave again, this time discovering fresh blood and the same snake he placed in Andy's locker that morning, now dead. Before he can warn the group, Andy's gang ambushes him and beats him severely, leaving him missing when the crawl begins. With Dustin gone, Jonathan fills in as Hopper's surface tracker. Mike and Lucas watch the Max Z zone, Big Mac, as the time distraction begins. Fire bursts, soldiers rush, and Hopper slips into the Upside Down through the gate. Inside, Hopper's truck is attacked by a Demogorgon and crashes. At WSQK, Will collapses, his mind suddenly sinking with the creature. For a few horrifying seconds, he sees through its eyes. And he understands where it's heading. Nancy's house. The team panics. At home, Holly watches the lights flicker and the cracks spread across her ceiling like a living wound. The plaster splits apart, and a Demogorgon bursts through the ceiling of her bedroom. The episode ends. We're back in episode 2. It opens in the Wheeler house until Holly suddenly bolts into the bathroom, slamming the door behind her. She whispers to Karen that the monster is back. Before her mother can even respond, the Demogorgon smashes through the hallway. Karen drags Holly into the bathtub, turning on the water to hide them beneath the surface. Ted appears with a golf club, shockingly brave for once, and charges the creature. It goes about as well as expected. He's thrown across the room in seconds. Karen bursts from the tub, grabbing a shattered wine bottle and stabbing the Demogorgon again and again. It buys a few precious seconds, but not enough. The creature snatches Holly as a portal tears open in the doorway. Moments later, Nancy and Mike arrive to a house drenched in chaos. Paramedics rush Ted and Karen to the hospital. Nancy spirals into guilt. She saw visions of these events last season and did nothing. Mike tries to ground her, but Lucas interrupts with something chilling. The date is November 3rd, 4 years since Will vanished. Coincidence or pattern? It's happening again. The military soon swarms the Wheeler home, convinced 11 has returned and is tied to the attack. Dr. K arrives, fascinated by surveillance photos showing Elle slipping into the Upside Down. Meanwhile, 11 herself has already crossed through the fading portal after Holly. Deep in the woods of the Upside Down, she nearly blasts a familiar figure, Hopper. Bruised, bloodied, but alive, he hands her his flashlight and snaps into overprotective dad mode as the two track the wounded Demogorgon along the railway. Hopper's injury forces them into a brief rest. They talk about Sarah, about fear, about the weight Hopper carries. For once, he admits he's terrified of losing Elle again. She assures him they'll find Holly. When they resume tracking, they reach something enormous, a vast circular barrier of flesh and fog sealing off the inner Upside Down. Back in the real world, Joyce questions Will about his visions. He confesses this time is different. He's inside the hive mind's perspective. Vecna feels close. Too close. Robin theorizes his goosebumps and seizures might act like an antenna, allowing them to track Vecna's proximity. Joyce hates the idea, but Will insists they must use what they have. Outside, Jonathan and Steve argue, again, this time over Nancy and responsibility. Dustin arrives mid-fight, bloody from being beaten by school jocks. Steve snaps at him for risking himself while grieving Eddie. But Dustin pushes past it. He needs to help find Holly. At the hospital, Mike and Nancy realize Holly's imaginary friend, Mr. Whatsit, may have been real all along. With Karen barely conscious, they disguise themselves as a nurse and patient and sneak into her room. Karen shakily writes a name, Henry. The charming, well-dressed man who spoke to Holly was Vecna, wearing the face he had before he became a monster. Simultaneously, Will experiences another vision, this time realizing he viewed the world through Holly's eyes near her school. Vecna chose her in broad daylight. Elle and Hopper, still blocked by the immense upside-down wall, test its surface. It pulses. Something powerful lies on the other side. Holly and Vecna. The episode ends inside Vecna's illusion. Holly walks through a sunlit version of the Creel house, restored, warm, inviting. Vecna, dressed as Henry, waits in the doorway with a gentle smile. In episode 3 it opens in the Upside Down, where Hopper and 11 face a monstrous obstacle, a massive, pulsing wall of flesh that seals off the path ahead. Each strike heals instantly. Exhausted, they huddle behind a billboard, sharing beef jerky while they plan their next move. That's when they see it, headlights cutting through the fog. Military trucks. Fast. A strange satellite-like device unfolds from one truck, a hedgehog, built as a weapon specifically against 11. The moment it powers on, 11 collapses, screaming, every nerve on fire. Hopper drags her to cover, but her agony gives away their position. Soldiers swarm. Hopper fights back with brutal efficiency, gunfire, grenades, until he finally destroys the hedgehog. With the signal gone, Elle's powers return like a tidal wave, and the remaining soldiers are gone in seconds. They capture one operative, Sergeant Akers, and interrogate him. Hopper asks questions the old-fashioned way. 11 tears through his memories. Inside his mind, she finds Dr. K walking into a fortified steel vault deep in the upside-down lab. Someone powerful is locked inside. Elle becomes convinced it's Vecna. Meanwhile, in the right side up, Joyce catches Robin and Will sneaking around the hospital. Will defends Robin. He wasn't kidnapped, he chose to come. His visions have returned, and they've shown him Vecna's next target, Derek Turnbow, a bully in Holly Wheeler's class who has been talking to Mr. Whatsit. The rest of the group gathers at the Squawk station as Will maps out the danger. Vecna isn't just haunting kids, he's grooming them. Holly was only the beginning. Inside the sunny fantasy version of Creel House, Henry, Vecna in human form, plays doting caretaker. He gives Holly a boombox and a Tiffany cassette, warns her never to enter the woods, and heads out. Holly explores, dances, cooks, and finds a childhood photo of Henry. But something in the woods watches her. Back at Squawk HQ, the gang forms a ridiculous but necessary plan. Kidnap Derek and his entire family, blindfold them so Vecna can't see through Derek, turn their house into a Demogorgon trap, shoot the monster with a tracking transmitter, follow it back to Vecna, and Holly. To get the Turnbows to cooperate, they enlist the one person who can pull it off. Erica Sinclair, armed with a bedtime support pie and crocodile tears, she gets the whole family unconscious. Tina, Derek's sister, resists dessert, so Erica just injects her. Problem solved. While Joyce and Robin secure the Turnbows in a barn, the rest of the kids convert the Turnbow home into a war zone. Dustin and Steve chop up his BMW to build a tracking rig. Nancy practices with the shotgun shell carrying the transmitter. Murray accidentally reveals Jonathan is planning to propose to Nancy. As night falls, the trap is ready. The air goes cold, lights flicker, a portal tears open above Derek's bed, and a Demogorgon drops through. Nancy fires, the transmitter slams into the creature's hide, and it bolts back into the portal. Dustin, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan peel out after it, smashing through fences and yards. Then the signal stops, blinks, turns around. Will feels it first. Vecna knows. Derek wakes up screaming. The Demogorgon is returning, not to the upside down, but straight toward the barn where Joyce, Will, Robin, and the blindfolded Turnbows wait defenseless. While chaos builds outside, Holly follows the map she found in the mailbox, a note supposedly from Henry telling her to meet him at the X. Despite his warnings, she heads into the woods, clutching her compass. The path ends at a rock wall. She calls for Henry, but someone else answers. A figure steps from the shadows. Sneakers, a red head of hair, a calm, soft, hi. It's Max, alive, awake, and somehow in the same eerie dream dimension as Holly. The episode begins inside the barn, shadows stretching across the dusty floor. Derek Turnbow trembles violently, his eyes darting around as he refuses to listen. Joyce kneels beside him, trying to reassure him that they are trying to protect him from the creature hunting him. Derek shakes his head, unconvinced. You're lying, he snaps. Mr. Whatsit warned me about Will, about all of you. The moment Joyce unties him, Derek shoves her aside and bolts past Robin and Erica. Will lunges to tackle him, but Derek flings dirt into his face and scrambles up to the loft, pulling the ladder up behind him. The others shout after him, but Will freezes mid-step as a cold, overwhelming pulse slams into his mind. Something is coming. Suddenly, the barn wall erupts. A Demogorgon crashes through. Joyce swings an axe to buy time, but the monster pushes forward relentlessly. Steve, Dustin, Nancy, and Jonathan crash into it with Steve's car. The Demogorgon tears open a rift and dives through. Without hesitation, Steve guns the engine and drives straight into the portal, disappearing into the upside down. The rest of the group follows the signal, tense and ready. Back in the barn, Will staggers to the wall, painting frantically. Holly is strapped to a spire, tendrils forced into her mouth. 3 other children are similarly trapped, and 12 spires in total tower around them. Vecna is harvesting children, 8 more are missing. Another vision strikes Will like lightning, Holly again, screaming in terror. He trembles, his mind reeling. Meanwhile, across Hawkins, the military begins rounding up children. Dr. K, convinced that 11 is the threat, orders them taken to Max Z base for protection, unknowingly handing them into Vecna's plan. Mike and Lucas see this and rush to warn the others. In the upside down, Steve drives toward the cemetery, following Dustin's tracker. The signal abruptly disappears. Ahead, Nancy and Jonathan spot a shimmer in the fog, a wall sealing their path. Elsewhere, Hopper and 11 encounter a similar barrier. At the center lies Hawkins' lab, the heart of the Upside Down's creation. Deep inside Henry's mindscape, Max leads Holly through a cave stitched together from memories, a place Vecna refuses to enter. Holly finally explains the truth. She died in Lucas's arms, wandered through Henry's memories, the Hawkins lab, and a 1959 school, chased through her past until, running up that hill, pierced the illusion and led her to Lucas in the hospital. Until the portal closed and Vecna appeared. Max had survived by finding the cave, the one place Vecna could not touch. Holly represents the first real hope of escape. Max outlines 3 choices: surrender, accept fate, or escape. She had chosen the second, until Holly's arrival made the third possible. Holly must carefully return to Creel House, following instructions without alerting Henry. Above ground, the group plans to reach the children Vecna is targeting. Mike suggests Derek go undercover to identify kids who have seen Mr. Whatsit. Once identified, they can be evacuated through the tunnels. In the Upside Down, Hopper and Eleven break into the lab but are discovered. A sonic weapon incapacitates Eleven. Dr. K enters, claiming she's been searching for Eleven and knows who she wants to reach. Chaos erupts. Soldiers fire at the wrong room. Hopper attacks. A tentacled creature bursts in. In the scramble, Hopper and Eleven manage to subdue K. Hopper sends Eleven away with a compass and orders her to meet Nancy at the cemetery. When she notices explosives strapped to him, he tells her it's a fail-safe and that he's proud of her. "I love you, Jane." He shuts the door. The sonic weapon suddenly dies. Hopper opens the vault, only to find not Vecna but 8, alive and unconscious, wired into the machinery. Meanwhile, the tunnel operation collapses. Burst pipes expose Mike and Will. Soldiers arrest Joyce, Derek, Mike, and Will. Lucas escapes with 2 children, trapped underground. Suddenly, metal plates across Hawkins shatter. Demogorgons burst through walls. Will convulses, seeing the world through Vecna's mind. Tremors shake the base. Lights flicker, air hums. Portals bloom across the town. Outside, Robin, Lucas, and Murray escort evacuated children. More Demogorgons appear, hunting them. Mike notices a shadow near a swirling portal. It opens. Vecna steps through, taller, stronger, fully restored. Soldiers fire, but he dismisses them effortlessly. Another gesture sharpens the Demogorgon's attacks. Joyce screams for Vecna to release Will. He barely reacts, flinging her across the street. Will is yanked forward, helpless. Vecna explains the 12 children are perfect vessels, fragile minds adults cannot break. Will, taken years ago, was the first and most crucial. Demogorgons drag the screaming children through portals, completing his collection. Vecna retreats into the Upside Down. 3 Demogorgons strike. One lunges at Robin, another charges Lucas, a third attacks Mike. All 3 hit at once. Robin's words echo in Will's mind: "Stop being afraid of who you are." Memories flood him: Castle Byers, D&D, running through the woods, laughter, fear, joy. The Demogorgons freeze midair. Limbs lock, bones twist. Will's eyes roll white, his hand rises, echoing Vecna. Power surges, and all 3 Demogorgons shatter, collapsing lifelessly. Will drops to his knees, his eyes clear. A thin trickle of blood runs from his nose. He wipes it away and that's how the episode ends.